Hello, sweeties, and welcome to Moral Machine. So, to explain this page, which is actually, technically speaking, not a game, but more so a platform for gathering a human perspective on moral decisions made by machine intelligence, such as self-driving cars. The page literally describes it for me, which I adore when pages help me out with my job. So basically what happens is I will be given a moral dilemma where a self-driving car has to make one out of two choices. Either keep on its current path and possibly crash into a human being while keeping the people inside the car safe, or turn from its original driving sequence and possibly crash into a barrier, injuring, if not killing, the people inside the car, but saving people outside the car. And there's different, versions of each. So, other than that, let's start judging, shall we?
Don't judge me, monkey.
Okay, so, show description on each one. In this case, the self-driving car with sudden brake failure will continue ahead and drive through a pedestrian crossing ahead. This will result in one large woman dying. Note that the affected pedestrians are flouting the law by crossing on the red signal, or the car with sudden brake failure will swerve, drive through a pedestrian crossing in the other lane, resulting in one large man dead. Noting that the affected pedestrians are actually abiding by the law by crossing on the green signal. Now, in my mind, they're equal in every sort of minor way, but the only difference is that the woman on the first page is flouting the law, crossing on a red signal, so she knew that she was supposed to stop and wait, but she didn't. She kind of made her choice.
So you have chosen death.
Okay, so, again, self-driving car, brake failure. It either continues on its way or swerves and runs into a barrier, like I mentioned. Now, it's 2-2, homeless people versus a regular man and an executive female. But, again, that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is these two are flouting the law, quote-unquote, as it's, referenced here. Not that they might actually be flouting the law, they might not know that the light is red. So just because they are quote-unquote flouting the law, I would say continue on its way.
Are you alright?
Oh, okay, here's a bit of a different one. There's nobody inside the car, but now you have to decide between a large and quote-unquote regular, so to speak, woman or two female athletes. There's no one flouting the law, it's just which is the better idea. Statistically speaking, if my brain would work and let me speak English good, technically speaking, statistically speaking, as far as I know, quote-unquote athletes, or at least people who take good care of their personal health, are statistically, how many times can I say that in one sentence, known to live longer lives than those that do not. Like people who just have normal kind of natural diet and exercises to those who have health problems that can keep them from having a similar lifespan as quote-unquote athletes or people who have regular diet and exercise plans. So in that case, statistically speaking, I would have to say this one would be better. Well, quote-unquote better. Statistically more sound, so to speak. So, yeah. Okay, here's an interesting one. This one, for me, is more of a numbers game, more than comparing anything else, because they're all female, they're all of a different age range, at least some of them are different, economic levels, I believe. Like, one of them has an executive, whereas these two are just kind of moderate living, so to speak. Middle class, I think the term is. But it's two, a woman and a girl, versus 1, 2, 3, 4, a woman, one girl, one female executive, and one pregnant woman. So, bringing it down to just one thing focused on, or two things really. These two are not flouting the law, they're following what they're supposed to be doing, but still, it's a numbers game. Would you rather save 2 lives or 4? And in my mind, saving 4 lives would probably be the more statistically sound answer.
Logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Ah, wow. See, this would be difficult if they weren't flouting the law, because now it's humans versus animals. No, the thing is, yes, they're flouting the law, but it's also human versus animal. But focusing down on just one important factor to make this easier on myself, I would say they're flouting the law. See, this is the tricky one because it's animals versus humans, and yes, they're flouting the law, but that doesn't mean their lives are less important than animal lives. But animal lives are, in my mind, as important as human lives because I myself have an emotional support animal, my pupper Koza. So, in my mind, because of how much she's helped me through in my life, I hold most animals at like an equal, if not slightly, like just slightly tip scale sort of viewpoint. So even though they're flouting the law, I would say, oh wait, pregnant woman, oh I'm dumb, I should be counting that as 2 lives, not 1. I'm a dumbass. I just realized that. But yeah, honestly, although I hate to say it, and yes, they are flouting the law, but statistically speaking, humans are quote-unquote more viable, I believe. Unfortunately, even though these humans are flouting the law, it's human versus animal, and unfortunately, I would have to, if I absolutely had to make a choice, I would have to say that.
You monster!
Alright, let's see. No one's flouting the law. It's 5 versus 5. And it's 4 male athletes and 1 woman versus 4 men and 1 large woman. Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Very interesting.
So it's basically the same as before. Quote unquote, healthier people tend to live longer, more productive lives. Apparently. Not more productive, but you get what I mean, per se. So, although I hate to say it, statistically speaking, this is the more viable option.
Do you hate fat people?
Okie dokie, let's see. Okay, this one is easy because, again, it's a numbers game. 3 versus 2, 3, 4, 5. Because, yes, 2 male executives, 1 large woman. That evens out. But there's an extra 2 people, a man and a doctor. Gender doesn't matter, what they do for a living doesn't matter. It's literally just a numbers game. So, 3v5, 3 lose out.
It's math!
Oh, see, this is the interesting one as well because it's children versus elderly / people who have less time to live, so to speak. So just going off this information, although I am wondering why exactly the adult is in the backseat and why 2 kids are in the front seat, like, really? Douche move, honey. Anyways, basically using the kids as a human shield almost. So in this scenario, I would say the more quote-unquote viable option would be this, because those children could grow up and do great things, blah blah blah. I am just assuming for shits and giggles sake that these 3 elderly people have lived a full life, they've done everything they've wanted to in life, and now they're just like waiting for the Reaper to come retrieve them and take them to whatever heaven may or may not exist.
You got real dark.
Statistics-wise, this would be the more viable option. I am trying to be as logical and not emotional about this as possible. For example, doesn't matter gender, doesn't matter what they do. This person is flouting the law, so this would be the more statistically feasible option. Ooh, okay. So now it's basically which gender do you see as quote unquote more worth living, or however you would phrase that. But statistically speaking, and I have in fact looked this up myself, women are statistically proven to live longer than men. But statistically speaking, this would be the more viable option. No offense, but yeah. Alright. Oh, see, this is interesting. It's a numbers game, yes. Nobody's flouting the law. Yeah, it's literally just a numbers game. Yes, there's a pregnant woman and a large man in here, but it's 2v1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically 4 if you don't count the dog. So, but even then, the numbers game wins out, so it's this. Alright, second to last question. Nobody's in the car. The only thing is, which do you value more, humans or animals, blah blah blah. Again, unfortunately, I have to go with this answer, even though I love animals. Humans are statistically more, like, feasibly vital, so to speak. Okay, let's see. 4 women, 1 boy. Again, nobody in the car, but not trying to be ageist, but statistically, I'm imagining it as they have lived life to the fullest. They have yet to live life to the fullest. They're trying to get up to a point where they can do so. So, this one.
Why do we as a society hate old people so much?
Okay, results. Most saved character, fit athletes. Most killed characters, animals. Okay, saving more lives. Others, pretty important. Me, very important. Because it's like a numbers game. Statistically speaking, the more lives you save, the better outcome there will be, so to speak. Protecting passengers. Kind of more important, since that's like one of the basic like upsides of having self-driving cars is like you don't have to worry too much about like focusing on driving as well as keeping everybody safe. You can kind of like let the car focus on driving while you focus on like, oh, okay, I just need to have my foot by the brake pedal just in case. Upholding the law. Really, it wasn't that as important? That doesn't seem right. I usually cared about upholding the law, so to speak, a lot more than others. How many times have I said, so to speak, statistically and all that sort of mess? I swear,
A lot.
Avoiding intervention, pretty close to others. Gender preference wasn't really part of my thought process, but apparently it was subconsciously, so that's interesting. Species preference, unfortunately enough, way more than others. Age preference, yeah, kind of middle ground, so to speak. Fitness preference. There weren't a lot of like fit versus quote unquote large people, and even then fit quote unquote can mean anything. Social value preference, again, there wasn't a lot of like social value high versus low, but anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below and comment down below what you thought of this video and what you think I can do better in the future. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as ring the bell next to it to be alerted to this and other such content. As always, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you when I see you. Peace!